Seriously? I've heard some pretty wild stories, but that one is quite the stretch. Are you one of those people that thinks the moon landing was faked? Huh, Mr. Conspiracy?
Please, call me Owen.
How about I call you Naked Guy who is gonna answer some questions before I push him out of the car?
I'd say that's a bit of a mouthful.
We just saved your ass from being killed. The least you can do is tell us why the hell you were being chased by half a dozen armed soldiers.
Whatever we decide to call him, I think you'll agree that he will owe us one. Sheesh, okay then. Forgive me for trying to lighten the mood.
No one was trying to kill me.
Oh, really? I guess I must have just imagined all of that gunfire.
What I mean is that they weren't shooting at me. They were trying to stop you two from getting too far. Even if they had shot me, it wouldn't do much good.
Do you have any idea how insane you sound? You start off by telling us that we are going to die in 2 weeks just because we don't have one of those god-awful hunks of metal on our arms. And now you're saying that you can just, take 100 bullets to the back and be fine?
Your name is Sierra Quaid. You like watching the world at a distance, constantly scouring the news for information. Your favorite food is Cajun seasoned fries, crinkle cut and fried to crispiness because soggy fries are a death sentence. You were born in Mexico, but you were forced to come to the U.S. shortly after your birth. However, you were put into an orphanage at such a young age. Why? Do I know this? You were listening to my broadcast. I wasn't pulling that information out of my ass. If you have this bracer, you can do unthinkable things, mind reading included.
You were speaking from first-hand experience.
You got it. And that's not all. There's so much more that can be. Whoa,
Christ
whoa,
on
whoa!
a bike, Sierra! What the hell are you doing?
Don't ever do that again. Stay the fuck out of my head. Got it?
Yeah, that was a bit of a line crossing, huh? I'm sorry. Totally uncalled for. Won't happen again. I am originally from Vermont. I prefer the company of text and a glass of scotch to that of people. Well, certain people, anyways. Might have been what led to my divorce. I work as an archaeologist and was relocated to Egypt to work on uncovering the tomb of Shesmu. It was a hell of a project, too. I had poured a lot of myself into that dig. Boy, was I ever disappointed when it turned out to be my own tomb. In a sense.
We heard about the tomb on the news. They said there was some collapse there.
Yeah, that can be attributed to one Harvey Spleen. This stupid prick ruined months of planning. Months. Destroyed the entire project. Murdered all of my staff and then throws me in a fucking cell.
Right. You don't seem particularly afflicted by that.
Oh, no, believe me, I am livid. I have to be aware of my emotions.
Huh?
Forget it. It's a silly thing. You probably wouldn't believe me anyway.
You missed one thing, though. Your favorite food.
Blood.
Excuse me?
Just a joke. Kidding. Of course. My favorite food is bratwurst.
Interesting choice. Sierra, is there anything you'd like to add to that? Well, isn't this awkward? So, do you have a place to stay?
Emily, I don't even know what day it is, much less where I am.
Right. Bit of a silly question, that was. How about you stay with us for a couple of days? We can help you figure out how to get home and maybe even get you a better outfit.
I don't think your friend is going to be too happy about that.
Yes, well, she will have to deal with it. I don't think I would be too happy about leaving you out in the cold.
Do you think Sierra will be all right?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I've seen her get upset, but certainly not to that point. Whatever you did really set something off inside her.
That guy really got to you, huh? Oh, Mika. It'll be okay. You can't be mad at him, though. He didn't know. You might want to try speaking without the pillow in your mouth.
How do you know that anything is going to be okay? How do you know
I know because you've been through one of the hardest possible situations anyone could go through. And you came out on the other side just fine. You kept pushing and pushing, and every day I got to see you grow into the beautiful woman that you are today.
No, you didn't. How can you even say that after you just left me on my own? I was a child.
It's not as if I wanted to. It was the best possible option for you.
How?
You know I can't tell you. You're just gonna have to trust me, Mika. I know. It's not fair to you. But you will learn the truth one day. I know you will.
I miss you so much, Dad. I miss both of you so much. I feel so lost without you sometimes. So scared.
What would you have to fear?
I don't want to forget you or Mom. There are days that I try to remember what either of you look like, and the more time that goes by, the less I can.
I'd almost prefer it that way. Your dear papa didn't have much going for him physically.
Clearly, Mom thought otherwise.
Oh, that woman was something else. Smartest person I've ever known, and yet still chose me. And to this day, I have no idea why.
Where did you two go? Can you at least answer me that?
I wish I could. But this is something that you're gonna have to learn on your own.
Why, though? Why?
There is going to come a day that you will find out why we had to leave you. And frankly, I can't tell you how you'll react. But what I can tell you is that just because I'm not here doesn't mean I'm not here. Your mother and I love you so much, Sierra. And we would do anything to keep you safe. Does that answer your question? Only when you have found the answers that you've been chasing will you begin to understand our decision. But then again, maybe you already know.
Yeah. Maybe.
Her room is that way, second door on the left. I was going to put the kettle on. Fancy a cuppa?
Sure. That would be great. Hey, Sierra? Can I come in?
Hi.
Hey, may I?
Sure. Sorry that the place is such a mess. There's a chair underneath that pile of clothes, I think.
Well, given the little mishap earlier, I think I'll just stand. Thanks. Right, I'm sorry about earlier. I shouldn't have just hopped right into your brain. It was just the heat of the moment, and I was trying to prove...
How much do you know?
What do you mean?
You went straight for the personal information part of my brain. So I want to know, how much do you know about me, Owen?
Is this a trick question? I'm not looking to get shot.
Do you know about my side gig?
Yes, I know about that.
So you know why I do it then? Well, do you?
Yeah, I do.
All right. And this should go without saying, but you do know that nothing will stop me from finding them, right?
Yeah, I got that. Does Emily know?
No, it's not really something I like to talk about openly.
That's a fair point, but it might not be a bad idea to say something to her. She might be able to dig something up at her job. And before you ask, no, she has not told me what her job is.
Man, you are out of control. You better not turn into some evil version of Professor Xavier.
Oh, yeah? And what are you gonna do to stop me, huh?
Now that I think about it, I have seen how small your balls are. Can't imagine you'd be that much of a threat.
Ouch. I mean, curses! My entire evil agenda foiled by a terrible outfit.
What's happening? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Wasn't keeping my emotions in check, so that was my fault.
Is everything okay in here? Oh, this poor man. Sierra, what have you done to him now?
Nothing.
Nope, she didn't do anything. That was this piece of shit thing.
Right, yeah, we should probably talk a bit more about that.
Yes, of course. Where were we?
I believe you left us with a very ominous cliffhanger.
Ah, yes, the in 2 weeks you're dead thing. Well, it was pretty rare I ever had direct contact with Harvey himself, except for when he killed me. The first time.
The first time?
It's the bracer. As soon as it is latched onto someone, it kills them. It tests them. As far as I can figure out, the second that clasp is shut, you are given all-encompassing immortality. But it's not something that you know right away. It's like a thought in the back of your mind that you've hidden away. And what makes it even more difficult is that you can't have any attachments to anything in this world. The bracer only accepts you if you have nothing left to live for except it and the powers it gives you. You have to venture into the fog, guided by the faintest light. You have to give yourself entirely to it, to trust it. And if you don't, you'll never find your way back.
Does that have anything to do with earlier? That thing you said about keeping your emotions under control?
Yeah, it seems to feed off of emotion. Negative emotions, mostly. When I feel something positive, it's like a toddler trying broccoli for the first time. It hates the taste, and then I end up on the floor.
What happens with negativity?
Well, it's probably best that we don't get into that right now.
I really think we should. That thing is causing you pain. So I'm not sure how else you're expecting to get that thing off unless we understand exactly what we're dealing with.
What? No. You can't do that. Haven't you been listening? This is the only way we survive, Emily.
Okay. Let's imagine a scenario in which that is true. You said Harvey is controlling people with these braces, yeah?
No, not me, I swear.
That's a very good point. How do we know that all of this isn't some scheme, huh? How do we know you're not under his control right now?
It's not. I'm not. I know I don't have any proof, but you have to trust me.
Trust you? Sorry, but trust went out the window when you decided to fuck with my brain.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That was a big fuck up on my part, but I swear I won't do that again. And everything that I learned will stay with me until the day that I...
The day that you what?
Listen, I will do whatever it takes to show you both that I am on your side.
Listening?
As I was saying, I rarely got to see Harvey, but during my escape, I, bumped into him accidentally.
Really not helping your case.
Well, wait, the thing about it is, he just said I could leave, which I know, most awkward encounter ever, so I dug into his mind, and it was dark, and everything felt cold, but somewhere in the fog, I could hear him counting. Backwards from 13 days, 5 hours, something minutes. I don't remember fully. Point is, he just smiled and said, try not to die out there, and walked away. It felt like it was intimidation, but he knows about what the bracers can do, so why would... Oh no. Both of you, take my hands.
The fuck? Why?
I'm going to show you both what happens, or what would happen if I take it off.
Emily, naked guy's being weird again.
Indeed. Though I suppose he can't prove himself without being given a chance, so... Fuck it.
Fuck it.
So, just a quick note, try to be quiet when we arrive, and, when we get back, can we please go and get some clothes? I am starting to get a little, self-conscious.
Wait, where the fuck are we?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to those that are here. Thank you so much. That is the latest entry in Eldurrino's ongoing Spleenverse? Is this?
Spleenverse.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Welcome to ColdRead the Podcast, everybody. Podcast for voice actors by voice actors. If you have any questions, if you have any topics that you want us to talk about, feel free to email us. ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com. Again, ColdReadthePodcast@gmail.com. Or, if you'd like, you can join our Discord and talk to us directly from there. We'd love to hear your audio. Please feel free to send something over. We'd love to listen to it. We give very constructive opinions when it comes to what you're sending in. We've done it to ourselves, so this isn't anything that we're afraid to go through. And I think we've all grown because of it. So please feel free to join us there. Our guest today, and again, thank you very much for being here, Melissa Medina. Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Love the audio. Is that your recording mic? Because that sounds very nice. So what we're going to do is what we normally do is we're going to check in with everybody, and we'll see how everything's going. I know things are very, very interesting on your side of the world, Renara, so how has your week been so far?
That's a good way to start this. So, started back, the schools had just started to come back. I was getting used to my new timetable and everything, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for most Brits where we've all joked at some point about how we thought the Queen was immortal. We've all kind of had that moment of she's going to outlive all of them, and then I got the news through, as every Brit did, that Queen Elizabeth II passed away, and my immediate reaction was, this is a joke. This is someone joking. This isn't real. The Queen is immortal. This isn't real. But no, it's the day that pretty much most of us were dreading has happened, and I've been following the Queen's last journey from Balmoral to currently Edinburgh, where she lies in state currently, which for everyone else out there who's not English, that basically means she is currently in Edinburgh for all of the Scottish people to come and pay their respects in person. She will then be travelling down to England, where she will be buried on the 19th, which I felt, as the resident British person, it would be remiss of me if I didn't talk about it. In regards to voice acting on my own journey, to be honest, I'm waiting to hear back from Skywind at the minute, because I've just finished my townsfolk stuff and they're checking through that. So the file cutters will go through that, and then I will get a retake script if there are any more retakes or new lines that they've added. So I'm waiting for that so that they can attach that to my already original card, so that can be out of the way and done with. I did Eldurrino's intro, which is always fun and has unlocked the swearing part of my brain, because I didn't swear at all until the first episode of that. And I just would also like to say very quickly that I have never been more proud of my students than when the news broke, because I work with teenagers from ages like 12 to 18, and on occasion they can be quite testy, but the amount of respect and the amount of just genuine, because most of them don't know about the royal family, but the Queen has been a constant in so many of our lives. I remember the Golden Jubilee in primary school, like through everything, she was just a constant, and I'm just very proud of the current new generation for the level of respect and how they're handling this. So I'm going to leave it there.
Good. Meanwhile, on the internet, everybody's being mean. But,
yes,
yeah.
I'm ignoring that
Yeah.
for my own
Shocker.
fucking mental health.
Well, thank you, Renara. Thank you for being here. Misty, let's check in with you. How has your week been?
Still having pretty middling weeks. Wish I could say some things have improved and not yet, but
Gotcha.
hopefully soon. Really just voice acting, just the audios I've been doing for that channel.
Yep.
And the script for Dorino's intro, which was honestly, just really, really good for me.
Good.
Just to really get some actual acting done. Because, you guys saw some examples of the stuff I've been recording. It's just, so. It helps to get in touch with that more dramatic side of myself again. Every now and then I miss it, and I hope I can continue to do that kind of stuff, hopefully.
Okay. Well, good, and welcome, and thank you again for being here. We missed you last week.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you.
No problem.
Making that money.
Yeah, no, totally understand, and I'm glad that you at least still have some steady income from the YouTube stuff. But I mean, I remember somebody recently put in a TikTok that you have to pay the bills, and you do that little stuff that'll help you along the way. So good. Eldurrino, awesome intro. Hello. You disappeared yesterday. I couldn't find you online at all. I'm assuming you were editing the heck out of that thing.
No, I was having a mental crisis, but that's beside the point.
Yay!
So
I walked into that. All right, interesting.
I'm just going to apologize to everyone, to all of our listeners, for that very long intro. It was not meant to be that long, and then it just kind of became 16 minutes, and I tried to reduce it. I literally couldn't take anything out because everything in there is important to the story in one way or another. So. And if you're confused and you have no idea what the heck this intro is about, go watch a month ago, I think. A month ago, my last intro, and you'll understand what's going on. But
this is part 2, right?
Yes,
of the ongoing
part
saga.
2 of
Spleeniverse,
like 6 or something. The Spleeniverse. Like that. That's just a thing now. This week, I haven't been doing anything, hardly anything at all. I just been trying to focus on life stuff, just trying to get everything situated there. So,
cool.
Yeah, nothing too exciting to talk about, sadly. Aside from voices.com now shitting the bed, I guess.
I figure we're probably going to really talk about that.
Just ran out.
Nice. I have a feeling we're really going to get into that next week. So.
We'll sure.
See. Yeah. Well, thank you, Eldurrino, again, and thanks for all the hard work. It's love the Foley. It sounded great, and I know, like Magmorta said, the audio did make you kind of feel like you were right in the middle of it. So even if it might have been not intentional, it did sound very good. Personally, I actually didn't get in the booth very much because I am on the West Coast side and things were on fire. Everything was an oven. This room got up to 95 degrees, so I had to turn off all the electronics. Even the AC wasn't really cutting it anymore. I got in twice to record Eldurrino stuff. And then I did one set of auditions, and that was it. I could not get back in here because I was drenched. I almost took a picture of myself to say, hey, you guys think voiceover is not hard work? Literally have marks of where sweat was. We do a lot for what we do. So that was my week. So Melissa, we'd love to check in also with our guests. So how was your week?
Good. Pretty busy. Good busy though,
Yeah.
But I got to do most of the time I spend my time doing projects that I either have to do or, projects that are paying the bills. So this week it was nice. I got to do a couple of projects that I really wanted to do. We did a live play last night that we streamed. And that was fun. It was like that old, 1950s sci-fi radio play type of thing live.
I was seeing the promotion for that.
Yeah,
it reminded me of it reminded me of War of the Worlds.
Yeah, it was kind of like that, except we all had to read the script cold. Nobody knew who we were. We didn't even find out who our characters were until it started. So that was a kind of a fun challenge. So it was nice to do stuff that I want to do and stuff that I find fun. And now that spooky season is coming, I'm very excited, and I want to do more fun projects for spooky season. So yeah, I'm very happy, looking forward to stuff coming down the pipeline.
Awesome. Yeah.
Make a note of that, Zamoody.
Yes, yeah. So it's funny because the spooky season, I've seen a lot of the Santa stuff start popping up too. So I guess they're already trying to find.
What?
Yeah,
No.
seriously, I have an audition already on there for Santa. So,
I just mean like
We don't have the band,
someone's gonna do some Halloween related intro. I think it's usually you. So, you know,
I hope it's not me because I did last year's and that took me forever to do. But beside the point.
fair
Are we
enough.
bringing back Corpse Bleed, the podcast? Or what was it called?
Oh my God! Yeah, the background is still in there somewhere. Okay. So Melissa, again, thanks for making time for us. Well, let's talk about your general journey right now through voice acting. So, how did you get started doing voiceover voice acting?
That's a good question. I had nothing to do with voice acting for a really long time. It's still kind of new to me, but I studied opera in school, in college. So I was a music major, and I did opera singing for a while. But it's a very cutthroat industry, and and if you are touring, you really can't have a home or anything. So I jumped ship off of that, and I went into IT of all things.
Ooh, okay.
And then I did that for like. Hey.
Yeah, baby.
You seem way too excited to be working in IT. Like, it's a slog sometimes. You know what I mean?
Oh, believe me, I do.
Yeah.
Right? But I did like healthcare IT and software development stuff for a long time. So I never took a vacation for like 10 years, and I burned out really hard.
Yep.
And in my burnout, I just I didn't rage quit, but I did leave a big corporation that cannot be named.
Gotcha.
And I went, I saved money, and I said, I'm going to just take a vacation and then figure out what I'm going to do. And during my vacation, I downloaded a whole bunch of audiobooks. And I was like, I'm going to download audiobooks, and I'm going to go, I lived in Seattle at the time, and I'm going to go hiking, listen to audiobooks, and just figure stuff out. And when I did, I kind of got really into this audiobook, and I thought, the narrator is so good. Is that a job? Do people do that? And I looked into it, and I was like, it is a job. I'm going to do that now. And I really jumped in. I'm incapable of doing anything like 50%. It's a problem. But so I jumped in 100% and just really took a bunch of classes. Jumped into ACX and started recording audiobooks. So my first audiobook I recorded on a Microsoft Surface tablet with the built-in microphone, sitting on the floor of my closet with all my clothes around me and everything for like 3 hours. Just totally, I couldn't feel my legs afterwards. But I was just like, this is, I don't know, I had fun. I think I want to keep doing this. So I started in audiobooks, and I found out very quickly that is a marathon, and it's not a sprint. I did not realize that, but it did help me hone my skills. And I jumped into a 10-hour fantasy novel, thinking I had to make all the characters completely distinct, and it was ridiculous. And then I went, I'm not doing that anymore, and I went into nonfiction audiobooks, and I thought, yeah, I can learn things and get paid to read. Let's do that. And then I got on Twitter, and I started following video game developers, because I don't know if I'm a gamer per se, but I do love video games. So and then I just fell into video games, and I really haven't left since.
Nice.
So I started doing indie games, and then got management and started doing commercial stuff. So I would say 40% of my work is commercial and promo stuff. And then the rest of it is video games and some animation. And it's been nice because I just sort of tried to jump into everything and learn everything I possibly could. And I realized that, like, oh, this promo voice that I have will really work here in video games. And this video game stuff that I've learned will really help me in commercial. And so, like, having this multidisciplinary approach really, really helped me kind of figure out how to make this my primary job and do that. It's tiring, but it's worth it.
I bet. So you're officially a full-time voice actor. You don't have. Oh wow. Okay. When did you make that jump?
When I jumped in, I gave myself 6 months to make like I think I said I'm going to make half my rent. And that worked. And then I just kind of kept moving the goalposts there. So I think by my second year, I was like, okay, that this is it. I'm going to do it. And really, I was lucky in having my savings kind of to help me out. So I just kind of jumped in full time immediately and said, okay, sink or swim, let's do this.
So, but from beginning, it took you about 2 years to get to a point where you're comfortable to say, all right, this is it. I can do this now.
Yeah, for sure. Like I was writing off some of my savings for a while, and then it was about year two, the beginning of year two, that I thought, okay, yeah, this is sustainable, and now I can keep going. So
awesome.
Yeah.
We've always been big advocates here to make sure that you meet your bills, you meet your rent before you try to jump in and everything. Because if you go in and you got to have a backup plan. Yeah.
Yes. If I can recommend anything, don't do what I did. If you can supplement and do your day job and have the energy to do voice acting, that is a huge deal. It's a luxury that I have, that I can get up and do this. But the real work and the real admirable qualities are the folks who can have the day job, come home, and still have any ounce of creativity enough to do voice acting in the evenings and stuff. That's a very big deal, and I don't think people give themselves enough credit when they do that.
I like to say thank you on behalf of everybody here, because as soon as you started saying that, everybody got a nice little smile. For those of you that are listening, everybody kind of like, oh,
she's talking to me.
It's true. The day job can kill your creativity so fast that it's a skill to be able to call that up in the evenings. And I know, some evenings you can't. Yeah. But, it's a huge deal to be able to do that. So, yeah.
True.
Very encouraging. Thank you so much for those words. What was the first, because you started with indie games, what was the first game that you started with?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think it's funny with indie games because you start doing them and then you don't hear from them for like 2 years. 3 years, right? Yeah. So it's really hard to say. I think probably one of the first ones that I did was a game called Rose and Locket, which is now coming out soon. And that was, I started doing this, it's 3.5 years ago or so.
Wow.
So that was one of the first ones that I did. And the developers were super nice. They're from New Zealand, and I had just gone to New Zealand for vacation, and I met a whole bunch of people, and I thought New Zealanders are cool, man. And so. So I started working with them, and they were very understanding. They sort of just let me do my own thing, and that's just I've been lucky. And the people go, okay, here's a character, run with it, and I go, you damn right I will. So yeah, Rose and Locket, and then that's actually coming out pretty soon on like consoles and PC, and it's crazy. There's so many projects that you hop into that never come to fruition, So it's nice to have some of those coming out. And Mortuary Assistant was one of my first ones as well. I was working on that for a couple years ago.
Oh, I didn't realize that was one of your first.
Yeah.
Really?
When people give me feedback on it, I'm like, wow, gosh, that was 2 years ago. That's crazy. Like a year ago. So I started it a couple years ago, and then he would, implement the audio, and then, 3-4 months would go by, don't hear anything, and then all of a sudden, bam, hey, we've got more Rebecca lines for you. Oh, okay. Yeah, what was I doing?
I get that.
Kind of go back, right, and refresh your memory. Like, who was this character, and what am I doing with it? And, but actually, it was really fun. So it's nice to see like an indie game like Mortuary Assistant coming out and being well received. Because man, I love indie games. I don't think I'll ever stop doing them. Yeah.
Especially indie horror games, like some of them are just gems, and they just explode. Since you brought that up, I did want to ask, how is it like to record for a horror video game specifically? And is there anything like that you would recommend for people who maybe want to try recording for a horror style video game or audio thing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think what I would do, just from lessons learned in ways that I have kind of messed up and done well, is I would give yourself time to really get into the vibe of it. Because it's one thing to play a fantasy warrior or something like that, but when you are like doing things like visceral fear, and you're kind of hyperventilating, or you're doing something that's very dramatic, you if you don't give yourself enough space, either one, your performance is going to suffer, or you will suffer after the fact in like being in this weird headspace. So I think one of the things that I wish I had done was not try to like work in some visceral horror and then turn around and like do an ad for Toyota. You know what I mean? Like that was not smart on my part. But yeah, so I would say give yourself the time to really get into it. And then there does need to be some sort of like aftercare with some of that stuff, like especially with horror and extreme drama. Like you really do need to give yourself time to relax, because if you're doing your job right, your brain doesn't know that it's pretend always, right?
Yeah.
And so you really have to take care of yourself. So there were a couple of scenes, like a lot of the approach that I do with my characters is I always try to put myself into them and add my own flair and my own story into them. So like with Mortuary Assistant, me and the character actually had some parallels, like with former drug abuse, losing my father. And so there were a couple of scenes where I had to, as my character, speak to my father in the video game and like say goodbye, and like I really felt that in myself, and like wishing I could have said goodbye to my own father. And so when I put that in there, I was actually crying. I was actually really in the scene, and then I had to recover afterwards. But I think that's why people responded well to the acting in things like Mortuary Assistant, because they know it's real, and everybody involved with it just put their whole being into that game, and I think people are picking up on it, and I'm really happy for the developers. I'm really happy for everybody that was a part of it. So
yeah. So I have a fellow streamer friend of mine who played Mortuary Assistant on stream, and her question, her name's Teeny Giant, by the way, her question was, why is your character so damn nice?
Okay, wait, what do you mean define nice?
Well, and that's how she just put the question to me. It's like, as I said, hey, because I knew that we were going to talk to you eventually. It's like, well, what do you? How does she make it so damn nice? It's like, oh, there you go.
That's a good question. If you're talking about nice, I feel like maybe they mean like the fact that she's still doing her job.
Probably with everything else that's going on. Yeah, I would think so.
Well, the funny thing is, there is a choice involved to do your job or not, and if you don't, the game will force you. So like if you try to leave, there's been a few people that I never understood that people just kind of go along with it, and I'm like, no, like I would leave. What are you talking about? I would get in my car and I would leave. And if you try to do that, you are literally dragged back into the building.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And you cannot leave. So the niceness kind of just comes from like, I literally have no other choice.
Yeah, it's part of the plot.
Yeah, you're pulled back for sure to doing your job and stuff. But one of the other things too that people kind of commented on, like from the demo, was, well, she's so chill when it comes to all these scary things, you know? She doesn't say anything. And the developer actually like coded in some reactions and some things. So I had a whole session where I just had to just breathe really in different ways so we could add that in. But yeah, I think part of that niceness is just she doesn't have a choice.
Gotcha. Have you watched anybody play the game? Because I know you've had some big streamer or some big YouTubers watch this. Jacksepticeye, Markiplier come to mind that have actually gone through the game. Have you watched any of that stuff?
I did. I watched a couple clips that some people sent me because I try not to watch my performances because I'll just pick it apart and be mean to myself like that. But I did watch Jacksepticeye's one, and I was just cracking up laughing. It was really funny, and I love how somehow like really visceral horror can still be really funny as well. So yeah, some of those were really fun, and I love when I would see game dynamics come out that I wasn't quite aware of. Like on my side, I only get my bit of it. I don't even get the other side of the conversation. I don't get any context, none of it. So you really have to just feel your way through. And so it was nice to see it all come together and go, oh, that's what that scene meant. Okay. Because otherwise, I had no clue. Just like,
so you had no idea. So you had no idea about what the monsters looked like. How much did you know that she was a mortician? Like, how much of the character did you know about before going into this, or was it literally just this is a person called Rebecca, and this is what's going to happen? Like, how much did you have to do some research into sort of the mortuary aspect? Because I know sometimes like. There are different words. You react to picking up different specific pieces of equipment. So it's like, did you have to do some research into that, or was it all sort of like laid out for you?
Neither of those things. I didn't know anything. I just knew that she was a mortuary sister. Her name was Rebecca. And that's literally it. And it was kind of cool, though, because for me, I do best when I'm given like a blank canvas and then I can just sort of do my thing, you know? Yeah. And so that was really cool that I got to, for me, I did do a little bit of research. I actually checked out people playing the demo because the demo had come out far before I got involved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so I got to see like at least the actual embalming part. Yeah. And I had no idea about any of the rest of it until much, much later. And I was like, wait, there's demons? I thought this was a mortuary simulator type of thing. Where did the demons come from?
Oh, wow.
And so as I got new scripts, it was sort of revealed to me about what was going to happen, but I had no idea. I was just like, well, because I don't know what's going on, and the developer was very hush-hush about some of that stuff. I was just like, well, I'm going to focus on Rebecca as a person and, like, you know, try to give her credible reactions to things or, you know, very realistic ways of going about her job. Because that's all I have, right? I have no idea what's going to happen otherwise. So, and that happens so often in video games. And it doesn't matter whether it's indie games or whether it's the AAA games that I've done. You have no context whatsoever. Right. Yeah. And you really just have to make decisions. And then, you know, if you have a director, which I didn't for Mortuary Assistant, for any of those indie games, there's no director. I self-directed all of that.
That's awesome.
So
put that on your resume.
Well, the funny thing, I've actually started directing now, and that's something that I really love is being able to do that and like give people some context or some ideas because I didn't have that. But yeah, so all of those indie games, you know, you don't have directors, you don't have context, sometimes you don't even have information on your character, and you just sort of have to go in and make decisions, which is a really great practice, though, honestly. It helps you be assertive. It helps you be okay with making mistakes. Because sometimes you'll do a take and you'll go, well, I don't know, I'm putting this scene together in my head from just the dialogue that I have, and I may not even have the other person's dialogue that I'm talking to. So you have to imagine a scene around that and make it work. And sometimes you don't get it. Sometimes you just don't. Like, oh, I was way off. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, but that's what's fun about the indie space is that you don't have anybody holding your hand or like giving you all that stuff. And so it gives you some freedom, but it's also a little bit dangerous, which is fun.
Yeah, I was going to ask, like, do you feel like getting an incomplete script is more of a hindrance, or do you prefer it that way so that you can kind of explore the character in your own way?
Ooh, that's a good question. I prefer. I'm in the middle, I think, where I don't give me 3 pages of backstory for this character and everything that they're gonna do, and because that puts me in a box, and I'll turn in an okay performance. Right.
Sure.
But if I get nothing, then I have to guess, and I may not guess the right thing. So, if I get like, I don't know, 3 or 4 sentences about a character, I can pretty much take it from there. But yeah, if that's in a perfect world, right? Like so many times I get nothing or I get everything, and you just kind of work with it, I guess.
Note to self, don't give too much information.
Yeah.
Do.
Renara's characters are 3 paragraphs long when we're doing these little intros sometimes.
Hey,
I was going to say, because oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say there are some people where, especially when you have something with a lot of lore, then that's your baby though too, and you want it to work out the way that you want to. And I've stepped into franchises with huge lore that you then have to just eke out whatever bit of personality that you can. Like with Aliens, when I did Aliens, I was like, there's so much lore here. Yeah. I did so much research, and there were limits to what I could do with my character. So I pushed those boundaries as much as I could. But yeah, sometimes you just go, this is the writer's baby, and I respect that.
Yeah, right. I mean, I can only imagine stepping into that kind of thing. Like, per your resume, I mean, you took part in Star Wars: The Old Republic,
or something
Saints
coming out,
Row.
Right? That's a new one.
Yeah,
and the Saints Row that just came out too.
Yeah, like you have a lot of like really big name games tied to your name, which is fantastic. But at the same time, like there's Star Wars fans are nuts. I'm sorry, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but they're batshit insane. Like, and if you screw up, they're gonna call you out on it. So I can only imagine.
I'm scared. No, they were kind to me about my character, at least, because it was weird with my character because Star Wars: The Old Republic has been out for years, so long, and somebody actually was voicing my character before, but it was.
Okay.
It was like a placeholder kind of thing. They sounded very young. It just didn't quite match the characters, so they recast. I think the person played several characters in the universe, so they didn't care. But they wanted like kind of a more authoritative, aggressive voice, so that's why they hired me. And people were really nice about it. They're like, "Oh, I like the new voice of this character," since the character had been around for 10 years or whatever. I was very nervous about.
Sure.
How people would receive her, but they liked her, I think, and I lucked out with that.
I have to say, because I see you're in the new Return to Monkey Island, which I think is a remake of a sequel. One of my favorite point-and-click adventures, so I'm super happy to hopefully explore that. If it's not out yet, I would definitely pick that up. So
soon, it'll be out soon. I think the end of this year, maybe the beginning of next year, something like that.
Yeah, point-and-click adventures that's where I started, and I've said one of my the reasons that I did voice acting was John Rhys-Davies doing one of the I think it was one of the Hero franchise, but it's just to listen to him do it was King's Quest, just to listen to him do all of that narrative. I loved it, and it's like, okay, I got to do this, and then all the other stuff happened. So very cool, very cool. I gotta ask. So you went from the Surface Pro, and I know this is going back to way earlier in the interview. When did you do the first upgrade, and what was that upgrade?
I went from my Surface Pro built-in microphone to a very cheap, like $25 USB microphone.
Wow.
Nice.
And I
Even
wrote
the
on
greats
that.
can start there. I feel good.
I feel like I lucked out because I realized that, just coming from a tech background, that there's not a ton of hardware difference until you get into the really expensive stuff. So I knew that it didn't matter, but what mattered most was my space and how good my space sounded. And then I could worry about all the other stuff. So yeah, I used a $25 USB microphone for way longer than I'd like to admit.
Yeah.
And then I switched to this guy, the Sennheiser 416, and it's been really good for me because I do commercial and video games.
Yes.
It's really versatile with those two different styles.
Sounds great. Sounds great. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Thanks.
when you got the $25 mic, did you stay in the closet for a while, or did you actually set up? Okay.
I stayed in the closet. Gosh, let's see. For about 2 years, my first 2 years, yeah. And it wasn't
wow.
until I moved to where I am now that I was like, you know what, I'm really tired of being in the closet. I really would like some sunshine and some AC. And so I have a little finished basement, and that's where I'm at now, where, I can have my windows and my door, and I can just walk outside and stuff. And but boy, trying to tame a whole room is a very different experience than trying to fix a closet, but it's been worth it for my sanity and stuff.
Yeah.
But I have considered going back in the closet a couple times.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
If it works, it works. If
Right?
it's what needs to happen, that's what needs to happen.
Oh, and I didn't even have the cool stuff, the cool foam or anything. I did blankets. I did all kinds
I've
of
got
stuff.
some rail.
Yeah.
The foam is new because it's getting a lot cheaper, thankfully, with everything. So it's more readily available. But some of that Acoustifoam was expensive back in the day. So.
Yeah. And now it's super cheap.
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon actually, for the dozen. For a while I thought of putting up egg crates, because the egg crates kind of have that groove, and they do work. So pro tip for those that are here. Fire and Brimstone confirms that Star Wars fans are batshit crazy on chat.
It's very true.
I can say nothing.
And earlier, Magmorta did say that she watched a YouTube reaction of the game by morticians. That was very interesting, watching the mortuary system. So something to look for out there. Let me ask this. I ask everybody this particular question. It was very, very interesting to hear everybody's answers. If you were able to go back when you first started doing voice acting and talk to yourself, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
I would say there's no timetable.
Ooh.
I think that people tell themselves, I need to be at X place by X age, or at X place by X years doing this. And I worked myself to the point of exhaustion every day. I was doing, because I really wanted to jump in and make a living doing it, I spent probably about 12 hours a day, just doing stuff and learning and trying and practicing. And I still do about 8-10 hours a day. But my goal was to slowly scale that back. The goal is to hopefully have to try less the better you get, right? And so you get some of your life back. But if anything, I would say don't pressure yourself to be at any place by any time, because there's so much of this that is unpredictable, that some of it comes down to dumb luck. And you can't control that. And I think you'll drive yourself crazy. I know I did, trying to control things that are out of your control. So I think that if anything, I would tell myself to be kinder to myself. And I tell people that too. I have students that I teach and stuff, and I tell them that as well. Think about it more in terms of quality over quantity of time spent and what you're getting out of it, because progress is way more important than achievement or perfection.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah.
Very sound advice. I think that's a new one too. I don't think we've ever
say
that before.
No, definitely new. Now, you've mentioned that you did a lot of research and did a lot of learning. What venues did you normally look through? Where did you do classes? Did you do coaching?
I did a lot of like YouTube research as far as equipment goes. I reached directly out to I don't know, people that I thought were well-known voice actors that, I mean, I don't know names. I don't know people. I live in Minnesota, not LA, right? So I was just sort of like randomly messaging people like, hey, and I didn't want to message them like, do you have any advice for me? Because that's such an open-ended question and that puts work for them. So I would try to ask like very pointed questions to people to not waste their time. So I went with people that I knew were working actively and who seemed like they would actually respond. And that helped me tremendously. And usually it was just to get some bumpers, you know, and I still do that. You know, I still have folks that I talk to, that I reach out to, that I say, this job seems like BS. Do you think it is? And then they go, yeah, it's definitely BS. And then I go, okay, thanks. You know, and it's great to have like this, your community that you guys have and the dynamic that you guys have is so incredibly important to have like a supportive space for folks and like to share lessons learned and stuff, because that's the kind of thing that you don't get when you get started is how do I jump into a community? Who has my back? Who doesn't? And there are a lot of people who don't. So you know, asking questions and stuff. I did take a few classes. I took classes at Real Voice LA. Mike DeLay is the owner, and he was just nothing but kind to me. And he was just like, I don't know who you are, but sure, let's get you some classes. And the cool thing about Real Voice LA, I don't know if they still do it, but they had classes where you can audit instead of be a part of it. And so, you know, if I didn't have the money for a $200 interactive class, you could spend $20 and watch. And,
I like that.
I like so for me, that's all I needed, because I'm a big extrapolator. Like, you give me a concept, I will take it from there. And I may not always take it in the right direction, but I'll take it. And so being able to audit classes was huge. Because I learned and I could watch people and hear people actively read and go, I don't think I would do it that way. I think I would do it this way. And you kind of like, if you actively listen, the problem with auditing is a lot of people go in and then they tune out. And that's going to do you zero good. And the same thing goes for if you're in a class and you're actually reading. The mistake that a lot of people make is they go in, they do their read, they get the feedback from the coach, and then when the other 8 people or whatever are reading, they tune out. No, you learn the most, I think, because you're so nervous, I think, that when you're reading that you don't receive as much. But when you watch other people, because there's no stakes, you can really like watch objectively and learn. So that's what I recommend people do is like audit classes if you can, because it's cheaper. And if you really pay attention, you can really get stuff out of it still, even though you're not reading. And then when you read, listen to other people read and pay attention to what they do, because you can learn so much from other people.
I'm super curious. Do you have a favorite voice actor? And if so, whom?
I don't. I don't think I have one. I will say that I have a very close group of voice actor friends that I respect infinitely. And they're folks who were all remote voice actors. None of us live in LA, but we're all making a living doing this. And it's like my friend Matthew Curtis, my friend Alan Adelberg, and Chris Sharps. They are people that I immensely respect. And I talk to them every day, and they are so stupidly talented, and they have no idea. Like the most talented people are the ones that go, I suck. So yeah, there are folks like that, really good folks that I would take their work any day over some famous person that has, you know, been established and has no reason to grow or learn anymore. You know?
You hear that, Troy Baker?
You mentioned you're an audiobook fan. Do you have a narrator that you're a fan of? Is there a particular person? I can tell. Mine is R.C. Bray. If you know who that is, he read The Martian.
Yes,
he's so good at it.
So good. Yes. Yeah. The rhythm that they use for it, so good. It keeps you engaged, and that's really hard to do.
And the drawback is the licensing for him just ran out, so they had to switch the voice actor, which I didn't know happened. So apparently, like every thankfully, I still have a copy because I bought it. I forever get to keep that copy, but I think they changed it to like Will Wheaton or somebody else reading it, and it's.
That's sad.
Yeah, but I mean, he made his money. He was very happy about it because he even posted about it on Reddit. So, do you have a particular one maybe that you like to hear often?
I wish I knew their name, but the person who kind of turned me on to even doing voice acting to begin with was the narrator of I love horror. Okay, so I love Stephen King. So that was one of the books. I got a whole bunch of Stephen King audiobooks, and it was the Watchtower, I want to say, the narrator for that. He was just so good, and I prefer duet narrations where all the women are played by a female narrator and all the men are played by male narrators.
Okay.
It gets a little offensive when like a male narrator just kind of puts on a voice for women, and I hate that. But this guy did such a great job with both men and women, and he was very respectful, and he kept it interesting. And Stephen King, it's dense. Like a lot of pages. And I listened the entire time, and I was just riveted. And I could tell that he's probably, a man in his 60s who's been doing this for decades. And probably, I think I looked him up once, and he has like 400 audiobooks or something that he's done.
Wow.
But that guy, I wish I knew his name. I'll have to look him up sometime. But definitely converted me for narration. Yeah.
Right.
The other question I normally ask after asking what would you tell yourself? Somebody approaches you and says, hey, I want to do this whole voice acting thing. And I know it's an open-ended question. You just said you hate it, and that's why I'm delaying it.
No, you're fine.
What advice would you have for me?
If you said you wanted to do voice acting.
Yeah.
I think I would immediately ask what kind. Because there's such a different rule set and skill set for every single kind of voice acting. And I think a lot of people come into this wanting to do, I think the most prevalent one that I hear from my students is I want to do anime, right?
Sure.
And then I go, okay, there's a skill set and a rule set that's great for anime that does not apply anywhere else. So, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you are hoping to get started in anime and then do other things, you're going to have to learn totally different skills and totally different things. And so I usually ask people, what do you want to do?
Okay.
And it's hard because usually the response is everything. I want to do everything, or like literally anything I can, right? And I totally get that because that's what I do, is I just do everything. But I think you have to start somewhere. And I recommend that people start with whatever they're most passionate about. If that's anime, do it. But just know that that skill set is really just going to work for that. And you'll have to get a different skill set if you want to do anything else. Or if you want to pay bills, if you want to do it for a living. That's another question that I ask is, do you want to do this for fun or do you want to do it for a living? Because those are different modes,
Right.
And I think the other thing, just coming from where I am now, is I think there's a difference between doing voice acting for fun and doing it for a living, because when you do it for a living, it's so easy to lose your joy. It's so easy to lose momentum. It's so easy to lose your drive. There are some days that I wake up, and I should be on paper very happy that I get to wake up and go into my studio and record auditions and do stuff. I should be happy about that every single day. But some days I'm just like, I don't want to do this. And I think that's a human thing. So what I recommend that people do is, if you really love something, really love it, like if you really love anime, I suggest dabbling and not making that your primary thing. Because anything you love, if you make it your job, you'll love it less.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
So, like, for me, my job is commercial stuff, doing stuff for Amazon and McDonald's and Toyota, whoever, JCPenney, because I don't love that. I don't love it. I do it because it pays my bills.
Right.
And I like it just fine. But the stuff that I really love is the stuff that I don't do all the time. like video games and animation and stuff. So if you're trying to make a living doing it, you got to build sustainable habits. And I think that's something that we kind of lose sight of. So when people ask me those open-ended questions, I immediately come back with a whole bunch of questions.
I love
like,
it.
What do you want to do? Do you want to do this for a living or for fun? Are you doing this for money? Because the other thing is, I teach commercial voice acting. And my first question to every single student that I get is, why do you want to do commercial voiceover? And 9 times out of 10, it's for the money. And I go, you're not going to do well doing this then. Because sure, the money is good. It's better than like video games and it's better than anything.
Yeah.
But if you do anything just for the money, you're not going to do great at it because you don't care. Right?
Right.
Yeah. It turns into a numbers game. There's just a sheer volume of commercial available. If you look at the voices.com, every other one, I mean, I'll say like 80% of it is all commercial in one way or another. 10% of it is going to be like learning. And then finally you find those characters here and there. Yeah. But yeah, that's another thing to consider if you ever decide to go with voices.com. And again, we'll definitely talk about voices.com next week.
I have so much to say about voices.com.
Oh, you want to give us a Cliff Notes version? We'd love to hear it.
Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. Well, I feel like I have to talk about voices.com in the past and then like current voices.com, right?
Okay.
Since the change. But it used to be that, there was a hierarchy, right? Like you don't go on Fiverr or whatever. And voices.com is like meh. And some people love it. Some people swear by it. Some people go, well, if you're on voices.com, kiss your career goodbye, whatever. It's just, people are dramatic. We're actors, right? But I think that for me, my general philosophy that I tell my students and stuff is like, if you do, go in, ask for what you're worth, get a couple jobs, and leave. Because it's, I think somebody here said it's a race to the bottom. And it really is.
Yeah.
So that's why that second step of ask what you're worth is so important. Because, it seems very appealing when you're first starting to go, oh, the minimum, used to be the minimum that I can make on voices.com is $100. That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's, that might be an electric bill or something, But so I don't fault people for, okay, maybe half of an electric bill. But I don't fault people for getting in and doing what they have to do to get experience, to get practice and stuff, because especially if you're trying to make a living doing it. It's so easy for us like established voice actors to sit back on our high horse and go, that's wrong, when it's a lot easier for us to pay our bills than it is for people just starting out. I think it's easy to lose sight of that for some of the more established folks. Yeah. But yeah, my advice was always like, get in, do a couple of jobs, but ask for what you're worth and then leave, because you don't, it's not that it's a sinking ship, but it is that race to the bottom. And I mean, even in the time that I've been doing this, which isn't very long, even, my agents and my managers, the stuff that they send me every month, every year, the pay gets less and less and less. And that's coming from agents and managers, not even voices.com.
Wow. Right.
And it's because of places like voices.com that those rates are coming down for everyone.
Yeah.
So does it do some damage? Yeah, a little bit. And that's why you get in, you do your thing, and you leave, so that you're not consistently damaging the industry all the time, And the goal is to have your own clients, maybe get representation where you have somebody fighting for you for money. But yeah, I don't shame people for doing voices.com. That said, there's a lot wrong with those websites, right? Like, I think we can agree that, like in my first month, I was lucky. I was on voices.com. And in my first month, I was lucky to make my money back. But then they called me going, hey, great job on that booking. Would you like to send us $10,000 so that you can show up at the top of the search results?
The platinum.
No.
Yeah.
No. Are you crazy? And that's when I kind of knew, okay, this is a little weird. And now all the sites do that. You know, you can pay money to be at the top of the search results, and morally that's a little weird, right?
Yeah.
So you engage with that sort of stuff as minimally as you can, and then, you know, some agents and managers do care that you're on voices.com. Some of them do care. They definitely care if you're on Fiverr. And I've had people ask me, you know, because I've worked, you know, my managers are ACM and I work at SBV for stuff. And I've worked with Atlas and a couple other big agencies. And I'll never forget, I think it was, it might have been SBV or Atlas. They actually said in my interview, "Oh, by the way, can you send us your Fiverr ID?" And I went, I don't have one of those. And they went, "Oh, good, you passed the test."
Oh my gosh. Oh.
I'm on there now, but I'm not going to tell anybody about it. Like, when I actually go to that, like, no.
Here's the thing, right? You do what you have to do, but maybe don't advertise it. That's all.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Because you can use pseudonyms in that. You can just call yourself whatever you want. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's not associated with my name at all. Because I've just, over the years, I've just kept hearing more things where it's like, yeah, don't advertise that because that's just not going to look good. It's like, okay, cool, noted. I'll see what else I can do to spruce up my resume.
And still on Fiverr and stuff, you can still ask for your worth. You know, I think people hear Fiverr and they really think $5. So there's some, you know, misinformation, purposeful misinformation, I think, about some of that stuff too, to shame people out of being on Fiverr. But again, you do what you got to do to make money. You know,
because it's funny because you've got so many people at the bottom of the tier. They all feel so pressured to offer the $5 for an insane amount of words just to try to be able to climb that level. Yeah, I know, Misty. I used to. I was on there. I had one terrible client. I deleted everything, and I'm not looking back because I've definitely I've been there.
But a rising tide, you know, what is it? Raises all ships, right? And so, like, I think the big thing with community, like voiceover communities, are people going, "Don't take that rate. You can ask for more," and you can. Like the thing is with the clients that use those websites, they don't care about how good it sounds. They care about how cheap it is. But if everybody is level set, then we all win. Yeah. You know, and we can all sustainably do this. We just have to like all kind of be on the same page.
Right.
Yeah.
There's been a lot, because the other thing that I see pop up a lot of voices.com is that how do I say it? The voice over AI's training. Any opinions on those?
Yes. Very opinionated if you haven't noticed.
No, that's fine.
It's a good thing.
So my thing is, coming from a tech background too, like I've worked with AI, I've worked with algorithms, and right now, there's a lot of people who say nobody will ever replace human beings. So it doesn't matter if you do the AI voices because human beings will always be able to present emotions that AIs cannot. And I say, yes, that's true. For now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because there's some stuff that I've seen from developers as well that, you know, I think it was, I don't know if it's Unity or one of those other ones where they have built-in text-to-speech, and you can choose emotions. And that comes directly from voice actors working for AI companies. And the hard thing is, though, sometimes you don't even know that you're working for an AI company, because sometimes they can really obscure some of that stuff. But I think if we arm voice actors with, like, if you're saying weird phrases over and over again in different ways, and you're saying random words, and some of this stuff just doesn't seem to make sense, that's probably an AI project.
Yep. Yeah. If you're saying 150 happy lines and then 150 sad lines,
yes,
you might be in a project. Yeah,
exactly. And so, like, I think for now it's probably fine, but it won't be fine for long.
Gotcha.
And so I think we should all try to not do those. And the same thing goes for like some of the NFT stuff, because I've seen people's voices get stolen from them and monetized. And it was really messed up. So there's a lot of stuff to be wary of, and that's why our community is really important, you know?
Yeah.
To have people looking out for each other.
So one of my final questions I'll hand off to the team, because it's driving me crazy. What's on the pillow in the background?
I hate the I hate the Discord mirrors video, and you can't do anything about it.
I can read some of it only because it mirrors it back when we're watching.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
So it says, hold on, let me overthink this.
Yeah.
I want it. I need that in my life.
Okay.
I need that in my life.
It was driving me a little crazy, so thank you so much.
Yeah. Hold on, let me overthink this. I usually just like take it and I put it up on the camera when I feel like I'm losing sight of a character or like I lost a voice or something. Hold on. Okay. All right, let's reset. Yeah.
That's great.
Co-hosts, and Fire and Brimstone says that's an awesome pillow. And then also says text-to-speech is okay, AI voice, nope. So, yeah. All right.
That's interesting. Yeah, you can have those be two different things, but oftentimes they're connected as well.
Interesting.
And you really don't know until it gets implemented, which one's which. But yeah, it's hard to have the distinction.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is funny because I was watching one of our last episodes, and apparently now it's giving a transcription in YouTube itself without me even intervening. So yeah, that's obviously that's all out there and everything else.
Oh boy, am I gonna have fun with that?
All right, co-hosts, any final questions for our guests?
Yes.
Please, Renara.
Go for it.
As somebody who also started their journey in the sort of indie game, sort of modding aspect, for me, video games are kind of like the main thing that I have most of my skill set is based in, but I find it difficult to find advertisements for indie games. So I'd love to know where you have sort of found these in your journey, because it's the sort of road I'm kind of aiming for, because it's where I sit my skill set the best. So I would like to know where are these mystical casting calls for indie games that I need to know.
All right, I'll give you secrets.
Ooh.
Yay!
Exclusive. Sorry.
So here's the thing that I tell people all the time: don't wait for casting calls, because usually by the time there's a casting call, the lead has been cast already.
Right.
And they already have a generally good idea of like who they might want for what particular role. And they've been, devs are crazy, man. They work on their stuff for 12 hours a day, and like they have time to ruminate and think about who they want in their stuff or what they want them to sound like, right? But my thing, and this is just me. My thing is when I say don't wait for casting calls, what I mean is connect with the people who are making the content that you love. And I hate the networking word. I don't like it, mostly because my personal philosophy is authenticity. As you probably tell, you could see me on Twitter just shit posting and whatever. But I try to be myself in all ways, because I think that's what makes you unique, right? Everybody is unique, but if we spend all our time trying to be like someone else, then we're not unique anymore. So my thing is connecting with people authentically, and don't follow and talk to developers just because they're big. Follow and talk to them because you genuinely support them. And that's what happened with me and Mortuary Assistant was, I started following him because it looked really cool. I love horror movies, horror games, everything. And so I have a deep passion for it. And when you connect with people with similar passions, you're unstoppable. And it's way better than we have a business relationship and I'm not really in this and neither are you. And we're just doing this for money. And there's a time and a place for that. I'm not shaming that. But I think there's something to be said about authentically connecting with people, and Twitter and Instagram or whatever. I use Twitter for that. It's so easy to connect to people on a human level. And so I say connect with, if video games are your thing, connect with developers where you like who they are and you like what it is that they're making, and you would play that game in a heartbeat.
I get you. Yeah.
And you will do your best work for them. You won't even have to audition. They will know, oh, you get me. And I want to cast you without a casting call because you understand my brain, or you understand what it is I'm trying to accomplish, and you're going to help me accomplish that. And if you can tell, like, get people to understand that, you don't need casting calls. You know, all of the indie games that I've done have not been casting calls. They've just been authentically connecting with people that have art that they're making that my mind is blown. Like with Rose and Locket, the art that they made, I was just like, I would print this out and put it in my studio. It's beautiful. I love this. And there have been voice actors who know that I am cast in video games and still try to get the roles out from under me.
Oh, wow.
And I only know that because developers have told me, hey, you know, did you know that so-and-so has really been trying to get this role? And
wow.
And it's funny because that won't happen. Why? Because I get them.
Right.
Because I'm passionate about what they're passionate about. So I say don't wait for casting calls. Connect with people. Connect with projects that you love. And then, of course, don't eschew casting calls. They're great. Do both.
Yeah.
You know? But don't be afraid to reach out. Yeah, don't be afraid to reach out. And my thing is, what a lot of people do with voice actors is they go, love your game, here's my demo reel. And developers go, ugh.
Right.
It's just a plug. It's just like, getting this out there. Spamming this to like 15 people today.
Yeah. And we as actors, I think we can be very, I won't say self-centered, but I think we think a lot about ourselves and where we fall into things and my voice and my characters and all of these things. But if you can divorce yourself from that and think about who it is you're working for and what they want and what they're interested in, you'll go really, really far.
Because I've done things where, like, because I'm on Twitter looking, like, the whole Twitter community. I love it. I love it there. And there have been games where I've looked at the stuff, I've found it, like they're not demo, but they're like trailer for it, and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. And then I'm like, I look at my demo and I go, oh, but none of the voices on my demo kind of match what they're looking for, so I'll just go, here's my demo, but I would be more than happy to do samples or something, or what, like, to sort of like go further in, cause, like, to try and open up that dialogue of, I really like what you're doing, and I am totally aware that there may not be my demo might not be 100% what you're looking for, but I'm willing to want to carry this forward and continue on with that. And that,
tell them that.
Yeah,
because one, it's authentic to you, right? But two, make it about them.
Yeah,
you know, it's not about you.
I like
right?
that.
It's about what they're doing. And when I tell people, like, if you like something that a developer has done, tell them, and don't talk about you. Talk about them, right? Talk about what they're doing and what you appreciate about what they do, and make it specific. Like, you know, if I talk to a developer, you'll see all the comments, right? And everybody's like, amazing, wonderful, so cool. That's fine. But I will, if I mean it, if I really mean it, and I'm being authentic, I will go, God, the ray tracing that you did here, the light and the shadow, the movement that you did of these characters is just amazing. They will notice that. Not amazing, wonderful, awesome.
It's like generic at that point, yeah. Because then, you know, that could all be generic and stuff. So, but then,
right?
They notice the detail. Yeah, I get you.
Authenticity on Twitter.com.
I know.
Just remember, Ren, you've got 255 characters, okay?
Yeah.
So don't even.
You know what? I would read that. Like, if I were a developer and somebody sent me a message that was like 200 something characters long about how much they liked what I'm doing, I would be like, thank you.
Right.
Thank you. I don't even care if it's rambling, you know, like, thank you for noticing, right? But I think if we get away from ourselves, we invest in other people and we invest in the projects, we can come later. And what you said was really great, which is, you know, my demo, either I don't have a demo, or my demo is not great, or it doesn't have what I think might mesh with your universe. You can say that. They're just people. And you can go, I'm really interested in your project. What I have in my demo may not be what you're looking for, but I will happily support whatever it is that you're doing. So if you ever have a character that you need, you know, send it my way. I'll see if I can do something with it. And they'll gladly do that, then, like, you know, respond to that more so than here's my demo. You know.
Because you're just playing a numbers game. If you're just like, hey, here's my demo. You're doing it. Like Misty said, 15 people at a time.
That's exhausting.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
Yeah. So again, quality over quantity, right?
Yeah.
Eldurrino, your question?
I was going to see if Misty had one first.
Not really a question, just sort of more just thank you for being I joined the community of the VO Familia community on Twitter because I honestly, for me, it's just really nice to see like the Latina community have somewhere that they can talk about this kind of stuff. Yes. And really like I've I actually found you because I was going to submit for the what is it, Chilling Tales for oh my god, the
Chilling Tales for Dark Nights?
Yeah, that. You were in the running for the VO, the Idol competition a few years ago, and I was going to submit, and I was going through all the auditions, and I found your Twitter, and it's like, wow, that I love seeing that someone from this community is really thriving and doing this and something they love. It's like it's an inspiration for people like me, honestly. So seriously, thank you.
And thank you for talking about that too, because I think like the cultural aspect is tough to talk about sometimes, especially with VO. And I know I've done some roles that I'm like, culturally that feels weird.
Something we struggle with a lot.
Yeah, like in Saints Row, like they were like, hey, we want you to be a part of this video game, and I was like, you're asking me? And they're like, yeah, we want you to be all these gang members. And I'm like, oh, well.
It's like, I'm not sure if that's exactly the kind of thing
right?
I want to do.
But like sometimes like you take what you can get, right? It's a paycheck. But I think like having separate, obviously, discussions about like culture and representation and how you engage with all that is really important too. So I'm glad that you're part of the VO Familia and yeah, it's really great that like, I don't know, we're all so scattered that I'm glad that some of us are like coming together a little bit. Yeah.
Nice.
Shoot, I'm going to have to join.
No,
how have I not known about this? Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you an invite.
Yeah, thank you. Eldurrino.
So I normally only ask our guests one final question before wrapping up, but for you, I'm going to have two, just based on something that I picked out of your resume here. I need a new wine. Give me a recommendation, please.
No. Okay, red or white?
Red.
Okay. Cheap or expensive?
Whichever.
Because cheap wine is so good.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. My entry level red wine. I'm a big Italian wine person. I know people go French and they do all these. Italian wine is so freaking good, and it's such a small bit of land, and there's just so much that they have. Chianti is a great like entry level thing, and everybody thinks of Silence of the Lambs with Chianti, but like there's a reason why he said it, and it's because it's good. It's really good.
I mean, a refined palate. If it's like a man, trust him,
right?
It's a good wine, a little too dry for my taste.
Okay. In that case, try a Barbera. There's D'Asti and there's D'Alba. They're a little bit different, but Barbera. D'Alba is what I like because I'm a very like I need fruit. If it's too tannic and like too dry, I hate it. I'm just like
right.
So Barbera D'Alba or Barbera D'Asti, I think you'll like it if you haven't had it yet. Yeah, and it's super cheap.
I specifically made notes just to make sure I don't forget.
If you have a Trader Joe's near you, I hate to plug like a specific thing, but they have super cheap wine that is really good, like really good.
Interesting.
Yeah. I'll ask for notes for my wife because I do have one nearby. So
yes, yeah, check it out. They have very affordable wines, and some of them are very expensive, like varietals of wine. And you're like, how are you selling this for like $10 when other places will sell it for $40 or whatever? Right. So yeah,
I feel like it just becomes all a brand name at that point. By the way, I cannot like ever since I started playing 7 Days to Die Zamoody, I can't hear Trader Joe's the same way anymore. It's always Trader Joe's.
Yeah. True.
Anyways, my final question for you, and possibly the most important one of this entire show, is what is your favorite pizza topping?
Oh, that's tough. I'm gonna be boring and say pepperoni. But look, when I say pepperoni, I mean I don't want to see any cheese. I like that kind of.
Oh yeah,
spicy
Double pepperoni.
flavors. I'm very disappointed. I need just covered in pepperoni.
All right.
But how do you feel about
I
the old
respect
world pepperoni, the one that's like all curled up and it's like round? Have you tried that?
Like the kind that like curls up at the edges
Yeah.
and kind of becomes like a little bowl for grease.
It's good. I mean, I like it.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Give me that grease. If
Fire-
I'm gonna go hard.
Fire Brimstone says, I'm just gonna say Navy port is good. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Port is nice and sweet. Good stuff.
Anything to do with the army or naval is just death levels of alcohol percentage
Yes.
anyway. So
It will be flammable afterwards.
yes, yeah, it's gunpowder gin. If anyone hasn't tried it, try it.
Yes.
It will burn your insides, but it's good.
Melissa,
Nice.
I could talk to you for at least another hour, but it's already been 90 minutes. This is crazy.
Wow.
Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you making time for us because, first off, you made us smile warmly twice. So thank you for that. And I think you're the first one to do that. So we appreciate it. Any final words for our listeners? How can we, if we wanted to get you for coaching or anything, if you're available, how do we get hold of you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Melissa Medina VO, or my website, heremelissa.com. Just reach out to me. I don't advertise for coaching, just because if I do, that'll become my full-time job. So you gotta be able to say hi and message me, and then you're fine. Ask for what you want, right? But I'm happy to talk to anybody at any time. One of my big things is just being accessible, and like I've been here sharing all the times that I've messed up or like whatever, because we're all in the same boat, So for voice actors who are listening to this, just be kind to yourself and don't give up. Cool.
Love it.
Nice. Well said.
Don't need me for the end of today, guys. Melissa's done it all.
Oh, yeah.
Quick, cue the sound bite.
No.
Well, again, thank you so much for making time out of your day. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that have been here, thank you so much for chat, Magmortar, Fire and Brimstone, everybody else who's lurking around. Appreciate everybody. If you have any questions, please feel free to email us, ColdReadthePodcast at gmail.com, ColdReadthePodcast at gmail.com. We have a Discord. Everything will be in the description. If you want to come in and join, you can talk to us directly. We play video games, we hang out, and we post everything that pretty much goes on. So we'd love to listen to your audio. Go ahead and send something over. If it's an audition, if it's a demo reel, something that you just even want general feedback on room tone and everything, send it in. We'd love to listen to it. If you have any questions, we have, this is a bad word to use, a good network of people available where we will forward over your questions to some of the experts, whether it's acting, producing, voiceover stuff. We're more than happy to help everybody out. Next week's intro is Misty. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm still gonna do this. So Renara, any final words?
Okay. So I'll do the same thing I always do, which is, and this is where my brain is now going to do a stupid thing. 1, you do not need permission to create. You only need permission to make money off of certain things. If you have an idea, you do not need anyone to tell you to go and create it. Go do that thing right now. Secondly, you are beholden to nobody but yourself on this path. So, as Melissa has said, be kind to yourself. You are the person who sets your own pace on this. So just keep going at it. Learn to pause, but don't go backwards. Don't stop. Keep going. And I think lastly, I'm just going to say, have fun. Remember just to have fun with this, because if you're not having fun, then what is the point?
Love it. All right, everybody. We'll catch you all next week. Thank you very much, everybody. Everybody say bye.
Bye. Drink water and long live the queen.
There it is.